Hello again, I am Jim Bob and welcome to another Farming Simulator 17 map tour. Today we're going to take a look at Upper Lusatia, which has just come out on the console modhub. Now this translates in English to Upper Lusatia, which is the name that you'll see on the modhub itself. So if you're wondering why the map has two names, one is its original German name and then translated into English. As I say, it is a German map. It's set in the Saxony region of Germany and is fully seasons ready, which is handy because there is already the perfect geo for this map available to us. Came out a couple of months ago. It's the Ore Mountains Saxony geo, and as I say, that is the perfect accompaniment to this map if you do want to play with seasons. You'll get the right climate, the right growth conditions and everything as well, and that's apparently quite a challenging geo because it can fluctuate quite a bit, so that should be a fun experience for you. This map is by Ritchi Redkeinstus, and you should recognise the name Redkeinstus by now, as he has released 3 cracking maps already on consoles, with Altenstein, then Woodshire, and more recently Baltic Sea. All maps that are not massive maps in terms of their actual sort of land size, but very highly detailed, lots and lots of great little scenic features as well. So that immediately should give you a very clear indication of the kind of quality that we're going to see on this map. And it weighs in at around about 456 megabytes, so it's quite a good, comfortable size. It's not too big, it's not too small, it's not going to eat up too much of your mod space. So let's jump in and let's take a closer look at Upper Lusatia, or Upper Lusatia. And this is where we start off, absolutely nowhere near the farm. We start off here at this sort of guard tower that is down here in the bottom right corner of the map by field 26. We've got some nice little benches here and some street lights. It's a nice little scenic hotspot, this. And if we jump onto the fence to get a better view, you can see we've got a little town scene just in front of us, just there in the distance. And let's pull up the actual map itself so you can see roughly where we are and the size of the map. So as you can see, it's not a massive map by any stretch of the imagination. It's quite small, it's quite compact. If we zoom in a little bit more, you can see that we have 27 fields on this map. We are down here by field 26. There we go. So this is our starting location down here. And in terms of fields that we own, we start with field 11, field 9, and then we have the grass fields of 16, 28, 17, and this large clearing area of field 24 as well. There are lots of forests dotted around this map. You can see we've got a lot of forestry around here, and then around the other side of field 24 is some forestry as well. And then the other side of field 26 to our current left, you can see we've got another load of forestry around there, a little bit around here, potentially some around the edge of field 25 as well, and then we also have this forestry area just here as well. So it's a really, really nice sized sort of little map, nice little shape, not too many fields. It's definitely a smaller map in terms of the type of equipment that you're going to use, but there are some things that are quite useful to know. I mean, obviously this is our main farm here, this is where everything is. All of our animals are based at the main farm here, and this little area down here, that's part of the farm as well. Now we start with some animals, so if we just scroll across, you can see we do start with 5 sheep, 10 pigs and 15 cows, and for the most part they're all in very, very good condition in terms of their food troughs. You can see the sheep are almost completely full. Pigs, their corn's a little lower, but everything else is pretty full, if not full. And then our cows, well, their water, their silage, hay and power food are about half full. Grass, about 3/4 of the way, but they're full on straw. You know, we've got everything that we need to keep them running in the immediate future. And then going beyond that, the map has also taken care of that for us as well. So if we take a look at our starting grains, now this is a medium save file, so you would normally expect to see somewhere between sort of 6,000 to 8,000 litres of grain in storage for each of the crop types. But as you can see, with very clear examples, we're looking at 9,000 for our barley and our wheat, 14,000 litres for our canola, 10,000 for sunflowers, 10 for soybeans, and 13,000 for corn. Now, this is because we have pigs, so this gives us a little bit of extra starting grain so that we actually have food to feed our pigs until we can actually grow our own crops. That's a nice little touch. I don't think I've ever seen that before, where we've deliberately been given additional grain to feed the animals that we have. That's a really nice little thing. I like that a lot. So, we are, as I say, all the way away from our farm. How are we going to do this tour? Well, I'm not going to start at the farm. What I'm going to do is I'm going to teleport up here to the animal dealership, because we have a pickup truck that is stored over here. So we're going to jump in the truck and do the tour in our truck. And we've also got this placeable area here as well. You can see from the map there are 3 designated placeable areas marked with the big PL on the map. But there are actually a couple of additional ones kind of dotted around as well. So we have a small area here which you could possibly do something with. There is also a small area here by the pigs. And there are a couple of other locations where you could possibly squeeze something in as well, should you want to. But yeah, as I say, we are going to teleport over to the dealership and we'll start our tour from here. So, this is our pickup truck in this kind of interesting choice of colour. I think this the JCB colour, I think. And as you can tell, we actually have a workshop here. Now, this building is a nice little storage building for vehicles or equipment. You can see we've got the tool cabinets here, and then the actual configurable area is where the truck is right now. So that's where you would customize your vehicle. So you can park stuff in here and not worry about it, you know, being configured, which is kind of nice. And as we move over here, you can see we have a fuel tank just here. We have another storage building here, and we have pallets of seed and then pallets of fertilizer as well. So we have fertilizer and seed points at this location, which is useful, again, because we have a few fields nearby. We also have a little bit more storage just around this corner as well. So you can see that we have this sort of semicircular arched storage bay just here as well, and it's actually in really nice condition. Usually we've seen a lot of these and there's gaps in the roof and bits of the sheeting has fallen off. This one's in pretty much perfect condition, as you can see. Very nice. And then this building here, this is actually the dealership itself. So you can see here we have our dialogue box for our animals, and it runs all the way towards the back of the building. So even pulling up with one of those big semi-trucks, you'll get the whole vehicle inside the building. And of course you can buy your pigs, your sheep, your cows direct here, or you can stick them in the trailer, take them back to your farm. And we do have some static pigs, as you can see, sort of wallowing around in the straw. And then on the other side we have some static cows, and I do like the cows have tags in their ears. It's just a silly little addition, but I like that. You know, that is something you would expect to see on any livestock at a market, would be tags like that. So I like that. That's a nice little thing. And there we go. That is the animal dealership. Now, you could possibly set up farm here if you wanted to. Set up a secondary farm location. You have the storage, you have the seed and fertilizer, you have a fuel point. So you could do that, but what I would suggest is you actually do it over the road at the placeable area. So we'll just drive along over the road, check that out. Oh, and this well, you can see this well here, this is an actual working water point, so you can get water from there, and it is a free source of water as well, so you don't have to pay for it. I have checked a number of the locations on the map with water, not all of them, but most of them, and everyone I've checked, including at the main farm, is completely free. So I haven't had to pay for water anywhere that I've checked, which is quite nice. And this is what's opposite the dealership. You can see we've got this very large placeable area over here with a nice flat ground, so buildings will sit quite nicely on this. You can put in some storage buildings, you can put in some silos, you can put in some sell points, whatever you want to do, but you've got this huge area. And so if you want to make a second farm, I would say this is probably the best location to do it. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to follow the map round kind of in a clockwise direction. We're going to cut inside a little bit and then to check out the farm, and then we're going to cut back out again and carry on going around the edge of the map. So as we make our way around here, we've got a nice little mini town scene just here as we drive through. Speed limit drops. We've got a few static houses, a little swing set, and a slide there for kids to play about with. Nice little outside cafe here, and some tight corners to contend with, as you can see. And then as we move around here kind of opens out again as we exit that. We cut through this little hillside here, drop down the hill here. There is a lot of elevation change throughout this map. It's a really nice sort of feel for the hills of Saxony. And then we've got this little storage building here on this kind of point where the two dirt roads converge with the main road. You can see either side there. We've got this area here. You could definitely do something with this if you wanted to. But we do have, as I say, those 3 dedicated placeable areas. So maybe those are just all you're going to need. Now, if we cut inside the map a little bit, we're going to be checking out our first sell point just here. Now, this is Reela Grain. And this sell point will deal with pretty much everything. So if we pull up the list, you'll see Reela down here will do your wheat, your barley, canola, sunflower, soybean, your corn, and will also do your root crops as well in your potatoes and your sugar beets. No sugar cane. This map is not configured for sugar cane, so you will not be able to plant anything on here. Doesn't stop you from using some of the equipment though. If you want to use some of those basket trailers, of course, you know, if you have the DLC installed, you just can't plant any sugarcane on this map. So the harvesters and the planters are useless. And then around the back, you can see we have a little potential seed refill point. I haven't checked that, so honestly don't know if that will definitely give you some seed. There are some fertilizer bags just outside and just inside the cell box as well. So you might possibly even have a fertilizer point there as well. I do need to have those checked. So if you've already checked them, then please do let me know in the comments. I haven't checked them myself, I just didn't have the time. But what we're going to do now is we're going to head back out this way, and we're going to take a little dirt road here along the side of one of our fields, field 11. And we are going to cut through into our farm. So I'm just going to cut across field 28, because field 28 has a nice little water feature on the side of it. And as you can see, you can actually cross over the little river here and get into your farm. It's a very nice little scenic feature, that. And again, I did check that earlier. If you want to get water from there, you can do. It's free, but there is a better location, I think. So what we'll do is we'll kind of move around the farm in a sort of a sweeping direction. So we'll start here. You can see that we have a Garant Cotter fertilizer, slurry spreader, and then a FarmTech manure spreader given to us. We do start with a lot of equipment on this map, and then as we move down here, I'm going to follow this little dirt path down. It'll go behind the sheep and then actually join onto the main road. And as we get towards the main road, we're going to sort of cut across and move to the greenhouses. So there's your main road access on that little dirt track. But as I say, we're going to jump over and check out these greenhouses. Now we are given 3 greenhouses to start. Now you can see we have this one here, which is for your lettuce, and then these 2 here for tomatoes, and these are genuine greenhouses. You can see as I'm standing near the water butt, it's asking me or showing me the water fill level and the manure fill level. So these are genuine working greenhouses that we can take advantage of. We have a nice little covered area just here as well, so if you want to dump some manure on the floor or maybe park a water trailer here or something, then you have that option as well, which is kind of nice. And then this here, there's the main road. This is the main entry point to the farm itself. So we're going to follow this up. Now there is a little water tank on the left hand side that's coming up. We'll check the sheep in just a second, but I want to show you this. This is the main water access point for the farm. So we jump up on the wall, you can see that we have this man-made reservoir just here. We've got some lilies and some reeds growing through there, and then we have this little valve access point just here. And again, I did check this with a trailer. You will get water from here for free. So this would be my preferred choice of water as a source point for our farm itself. But if you want to use the rivers, then you can do. As I say, it's free in all of the locations I've checked. I just haven't checked every single one of them. And speaking of water, this is the water trough for our sheep. There's a food trough just to the side, just there. And then if we move back around this way, you'll notice our dialogue box is just here, clearly marked. And this is where we can buy and sell our sheep. And then just to the side, again, very clearly marked, is the wool spawn point as well. So nice and easy to see exactly where everything is, and it's the same for the rest of our animal stuff as well. Very clearly and easily defined and marked for us. And now we enter the farm itself. So we have a nice little farmhouse here. You can see we've got a big old storage building over here. There is actually kind of a split level to this, with this height difference here, and this is a hugely tall building. Look how high up this roof is. It's not the longest of buildings, so you may not get everything in lengthwise, but it's certainly high enough for you to get any old piece of equipment in there. So a Scorpion King is usually quite tricky to house because of its boom, but with this, no problem at all. You'll get pretty much everything in there. That goes around towards the pigs. We'll come and check those in a second. As we move into the farm, though, you can see this is where our chickens are, and our eggs will just spawn randomly in this location. So see, we just grab one here. Anywhere within this grass section here, there's another one there, look. It's kind of fair game for where your eggs will spawn. So it's tricky to see them sometimes because of this grass. It's quite tall. But this is where your chickens are, and this is where your eggs will spawn. If we sort of head back just to this shed for a second, there's our truck, that's where we came in. You can see that we start with a Silo King mixer on this farm, which is a big piece of equipment. You know, for us to start with, quite an expensive piece of equipment as well, but very, very useful to have. And then we also have a Pottinger Euroboss loading wagon as well. And then in this next little sort of covered area, we have our water trailer too. And then we're back to where our slurry equipment and manure equipment is. And here are our cows. So let's take a look at the cows. We have the manure pit just here. We have our slurry pit just here, and it does kind of worry me a little bit that the toilet is right next to the slurry pit. Now, is that just to disguise the smell? I don't know. Does the toilet top up the slurry tank? I really don't know about that either, but it's there. It's a bit of an odd location to stick the toilet. I don't know if I would want to use that stuck next to that. It's a strange one, but it's there. So as we move into the cow shed, all of the doors, by the way, they're all permanently open. I haven't checked to see if they close at night. It's something I'm going to do at the end of the video, actually, because I haven't done it yet. I meant to try it earlier and I forgot. But there are no light switches. Any lights that you see are automatic, so depending on whether you're playing with or without seasons, they will either come on at 9 o'clock at night, or if you're playing with seasons, whenever it just gets dark enough, depending on the time of year. So yeah, this is our cow shed, our cow barn in here. You can see this is our main food trough just here. So this is where you would say dump your TMR, and also dump any straw that you need for your cows in this location as well. You can see we've got the Lely Astronaut milking machine there, and a couple of these cow scratchers mounted on the wall as well. It's not a particularly large cow enclosure, and these are static bales. They are not genuine, so you can't use those. But then as we come along here, you can see we have our dialogue box for the cows themselves. And I love the fact that we don't need a gate, because we have this cattle grid in the ground, and cows are, you know, very, very wary of these. Just don't go anywhere near them because they get their feet caught in between the railings. So we don't need a gate. We don't have to worry about cows trying to escape, because they won't. Awesome. Here is the water trough just inside, and then just here on the outside fence, this is our secondary trough. So this would be traditionally the grass trough for our cows, as you can see. And there we go. That is our cows. Moving along a little bit, you can see just here we have a Hurleyman, the smallest, least powerful tractor in the base game equipment, just there. And then we have a selection of bales. We have 8 of each: silage, hay and straw, and these are all genuine bales. You can use these. So not only have we been given animals to start with pretty well looked after food troughs, etc., we've also been given extra grain in the silo to feed the pigs, and then extra bales to take care of both the sheep and the cows. How cool is that? That's a really, really nice little extra touch on this farm. You know, we don't have to worry. It's so hard to get animals up and running from day one on seasons, because you know, you either have to go in and do a bit of prep work before you switch seasons on, or you just have to get rid of the animals and then buy them back in once you have the things that you need to keep them alive. But it's so nice that we actually have starting materials to keep them going right from the very beginning of the play. That's fantastic. And then just around here you can see we have this green shelving unit. This is our sort of selection of front loader tools here. So you can see that we have a bucket, we have a bale spike, and then we also have a round bale fork just here as well. And then a couple of weights down here on this lower level. I do like the fact that this lower level is just sitting just off the ground, so you can actually back a tractor up and then drop a weight off and be able to retrieve it again with a tractor later. That's a really nice little consideration there. You know, generally you can't tend to get weights very comfortably underneath these things, but you should be able to on this one. We step inside this building, you can see we have some more equipment. We have a Vicon Fanex tedder just there. We have the Pottinger rear mower and the front mower just there. We also have a Pottinger wind rower. And then we have another kind of little workshop area, but the workshop area itself is technically outside of the building. Here's our New Holland 8340 with a set of front loader arms already attached. And there is our workshop symbol. So the configurable area is sort of outside the building, just here. So that's where you would customize your vehicles. But yes, we do have a workshop here at the main farm as well, which is kind of cool. And then in this building just opposite, you can see we have ourselves our 1660 combine, and the header is parked in that little grass section just opposite. If we move back through here, you can see we also have a Case 1455 as well. So we have a decent selection of starting tractors. This one also can have a front loader attached, as you can see, which is quite nice. Gives you a little bit of flexibility. And then we have some more equipment over here. So we have our Kuhn Verimaster plough. We have our cultivator from Kuhn as well. And then we have the Accord Cedar from Kverneland as well. And just over here, you'll see we have a DB8 Metaltech trailer there as well. And then next to our cows, we have ourselves a silage bunker here at the main farm so that we can make silage for our mix, for our food mix. Great to see. This is our silo, and the silo is awesome. So this is where we retrieve our grains. This is where we collect them from the downpipe, as it were. And then this is the tip grate just here. We have 500,000 litres of storage in this silo, so pretty hefty in terms of its size. And this will take almost everything. So it'll take all of the grains. It'll take your wheat, your barley, canola, and so on and so forth. It'll also take your potatoes and your sugar beets. It'll also take pig food and TMR and straw, grass and hay. About the only thing it won't take is silage. So that's perhaps a bit of a strange one, but having said that, you've got a silage bunker just there, so you can just leave the silage in the bunker. It doesn't need to go the few feet over to the silo. But everything else can go in there, as I say. Loose grass, loose hay, loose straw and TMR can all be stored up in this silo here, and you have a 500,000 litre capacity. Very, very useful indeed. And I do like you can climb up the ladders a little bit here. You can even climb up this grating here. Just climb up and have a look at the view from up here. You see all those fields sort of surrounding your farm. Very cool indeed. And this is our pigs just here. So this building here, this is our sort of our barn for the pigs. Now everything in here is just static. So you can see that we have lots and lots of individual pens, some of which are going to be empty, some are going to have straw in, some are going to have static pigs in. But this whole building is static. It's just a nice scenic addition to the farm here. And then this is the dialogue box here for our pigs. So this is where we can actually buy and sell direct or drop off in a trailer if we want to. And then the actual loose pigs, the real pigs, will be sort of rummaging around in the outside area just over here. So you can see that we actually have like a marked area here on the floor. This checkbox here, this is for where we tip our straw. And then we have one here for our water trough. And then we have the food trough just here, as you can see. And then if we go around the side of the building a bit more, you can see this is the manure pit for the pigs. And then just past our dialogue box just here on the corner, this is the slurry point for our pigs. So everything very clearly labelled and marked out there, as you can see. Very easy to find exactly where you need to be. And then we do have a fuel tank on our farm just here as well, as you can see. So Everything that you're going to need is pretty much covered. We have a seed point here on the other side of the silo. You can see this is where we can top up our seeders. And then we have our fertilizer point here, and we have our little Kverneland exactor hiding underneath the fertilizer silo just there. And that pretty much covers everything here at the main farm. As I said, there is a little bit of an expandable area here at the back if you want to use it for something. So you can just kind of drop in maybe an extra silo. I don't really think you're going to need a silo really with 500,000 litres of storage. Maybe something for wood chips perhaps, I don't know. Wood chips can't be stored in the main silo, by the way. I forgot to mention that. But you could drop something in here. You could maybe drop an extra couple of greenhouses or an extra shed if you're running it low on equipment space. You know, you've got plenty of space on the map for various different bits and bobs, and lots of storage space in general anyway. I mean, there's nothing in the combine shed except the combine, so lots and lots of space for stuff around this farm, and very, very generous with the starting equipment, not just in terms of the equipment itself, but also with those extra bales and the extra crops. Really, really nice, really considerate there to go with those starting animals that we have. So we're going to head back out across field 28 again, rejoin the little dirt road network, and now we're going to swing a right and head towards the main road, because we're coming up to our next sell point, which is the spinnery. So here we go. This is the spinnery sell point. Nice and straightforward. A little bit of storage space there. Nice, easy to marked checkbox and some static pallets just to show off that it is the spinnery. And then just over here we've got a nice little water feature. So if I cross over the road for a second, you can see on the minimap we have this kind of little reservoir area just here, which then goes underneath the road, and then it gets to here, and we've got kind of a sluice gate here that just, you know, would then drop the shutters down and keep the water level the same inside the reservoir when it needs to, and then this feeds the stream that runs all the way around to our farm where we crossed it at field 28. Now you can't interact with this in any way. It's a bit of a shame, but I do like the fact that we do have that there. It's just a nice little scenic addition, and Redkeinstus does like to drop things like that into his maps. So, speaking of which, here's something you may recognise as a very similar scene to what we saw at Baltic Sea. We have this little bit of roadworks going on here, where we're diverted off the road onto a little dirt path here. Now, it may be that maybe a building has collapsed because there's a lot of rubble, but what I think is happening here is the road is being dug up, and that this is concrete here that you see is actually the road itself being dug up and ripped up, because we've got this piping here, and we've also got some more piping on the other side of the road. So my guess would be that because we have this reservoir here, we're actually going to get some pipes put into the ground going underneath the road, and then out to maybe these houses perhaps, or somewhere else. But that's why I think that the road itself has been dug up. Nice little scenic feature there. I do like that. Luckily we don't have to worry about traffic either getting in the way on that one. We do have traffic switched on, but I haven't really seen any traffic on this map that I can remember, so I don't know if there is any traffic anywhere. I don't remember seeing any. And then we come into this little town scene here, so just a few buildings just kind of dotted around. We'll have a quick lap around here. You can see lots of little houses just kind of stacked around, little play areas. And we'll turn just here. Spin back and go the other side. Obviously there's our church. Oh look, we do have traffic. There's a car. Just saying I don't remember seeing any, and I immediately see some. It's just you don't see very much of it at all. And there's an Excel point just there. You actually spend a lot of the time not on the main roads, usually on the dirt network, as you'll see as we move around a bit further. But here's our dealership. It's a New Holland branded dealership. There we go. We've got a tiny little shed here, which I suppose you could maybe park a pickup truck or something in, but not much. But yeah, this is the main sort of location for the dealership. Very small courtyard, so not a lot of space here. Got this configurable box here for returning or editing vehicles. A direct purchase point just there. And then any equipment that we buy will spawn about here, facing in this direction, and then obviously move along the line that way. But as you can see, there's not a lot of space until you hit the sell box, so you'll only get a few bits of equipment in this location before you need to either collect it or reset it. Now the reset point is actually on your farm. If we just pull up the map, the reset point is around about here, which is near those front loader tools, which are all marked along here. So this is kind of your reset point around here. Now we take this little side road here. This brings us to the second of our main sell points. This is the other large sell point, so the one that deals with everything, and this is Aggramar, as you can see. So nice and simple again, drive over the grate, dump your grains, and that includes your root crops. And then we've got a fertilizer fill point just there, and I would imagine a seed point, and it's active just here as well. But there we go, that is the Aggramar sell point. And if we go just a little bit further along, you can see we have a fuel tank just there, and then just past the sell point here on the corner, this is the second placeable zone. So it's not a particularly big one, this one, but you do have a few options you could drop in here. You could maybe drop in a sell point. I think this would be a good place for a root crop storage area, seeing as it's right next to one of the two locations on the map that allows you to sell root crops. So that might be something that's worth turning that into, as a root crop mod area. And from here, what we're going to do is we're going to take this dirt road here and cut through the forest. There's, as I said, a lot of forestry available on this map if you want to do some. As we cut through this kind of little forestry area here, or this first part of the forestry, you can see we're coming up to the next sell point, and this is our lumber mill, our sawmill. So as we cut through here, you can see we have a checkbox there for selling our logs, a few sort of static logs and planks dotted around the edge, as you can see, and then we have a second box just there for our wood chips. Very small little location because space is a bit of a premium on this map. But there is our sawmill just there. And if we carry on this dirt road along here, we're going to come to our next sell point, which is Mühle, or the mill. Now this one will also take grains and will also take row crops, but it will not take root crops. So you can't sell potatoes or beets here, but you can do, you know, your standard grains and, you know, your sunflowers and corn as well. And then it's called the mill because we pop around the corner, you can actually see we have some water wheels, which unfortunately do not work. They don't move, they don't turn. It's a little bit of a shame. I would have liked to see a little animation here, but it's a very pretty little scenic area. And we also have a sluice gate just there as well, which again is closed. And now I did try actually to bring some grain down, because the mill placeable sell point that we have, the wheel actually spins when you put some grain in there. And I did drop some grain in this sell point to see if the wheels would spin, but they don't, unfortunately. So a little disappointed that they don't spin, but a very pretty little location here nonetheless. That is our Mühle/mill sell point. And once again, we're going to carry along this dirt road, and we're going to come up onto the back end of the mill. Not the mill, sorry, the barn sell point. They have a little shed building here. We could perhaps store something if you wanted to. Very small little area here, and then it's quite a tight access entry point just here. There we go, and we are inside the barn. Now, the barn is actually pretty cool. Now, in the shop menu, you'll notice that the barn itself just lists straw, grass and hay, but you can actually sell manure and slurry here as well. Now, this is the slurry sell point, and this is the manure sell point just there, and then this is obviously the barn sell point. So this is where you would sell your bales, your grass, your loose your loose grass, your straw, your hay. Obviously, remember, if you're playing on seasons, grass has 0 value, so either wrap it or just store it. Don't try and sell it because it's worth nothing. And then we also have a nice little stable tacked on the side here as well. We have a few static horses sort of poking their heads out over their stable doors here. There we go, a little selection of horses. Also, when you are selling slurry, you need to remember that you need a proper transport tank, something that can unload rather than just use slurry. So the slurry spreader that we have at the farm, you could fill that with slurry and bring it down here, but it will not let you sell because that particular piece of equipment does not have an overflow feature or an overload feature. So you couldn't unload that into the sell point. What I would recommend is a particular mod pack that I like to use, which is the liquid storage pack. So normally when I do my map tours, I don't have any mods installed apart from the camera mod, but I do install them every now and again based on what I need to discuss. So this is the liquid storage pack, and as you can see here, this will carry slurry and digestate, as well as other things as well, like water and fuel and so on and so forth. This is an ideal little transport tank to sell some slurry on a small scale, 8,000 litres, and then this one you can sell 60,000 litres with this one here. So either of those would work absolutely fine. You can load up and you can then bring that down and sell using one of those two trailers. Now to exit, you can go out the way we came in, or you can go out this way and go over the main road. I do like that little bridge there, and then that dirt road will carry on along the side, and when it gets to the first tree or so that you see on the right hand side, it then leaps onto the road just there. We're going to go this way instead. We're going to check out the BGA. So the road's going to come up, we're going to go down, and we'll kind of meet somewhere in the middle. There we go. And here is the BGA. You can see we have two bunkers that allow us to make silage here at the BGA. Again, it's a very small plant, very compact location. These tyres are just a big sort of static blob, so you can't pick any of these up. That's probably a good thing, because they can cause some issues when you get lots of tyres that are loose like that. There are some of those at the farm by our bunker at the farm as well. Again, static model. Here is our sell point just here, so you can see we've got our digital readouts. You can drive up the ramp and tip into this location here. You can also sell your manure and slurry here, but again, remember, if you're selling slurry, it needs to be the right type of trailer to be able to unload it. And then just here we have our digestate tank as well. So a nice simple little BGA, two bunkers, and a little bit of storage space here as well with this barn. So if you wanted to store a wheel loader or something here, then you have somewhere where you could actually do that, which is nice to see. And that's pretty much it for the map. There's not a lot left to show you, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to head up here and I'm going to show you the final placeable area. But as you can see, you don't really need to use the main roads that much. You can get around most locations on the map just by using the dirt roads between the fields. It's very little you'll actually need to use the main roads for. Yeah, and here we are on a dirt road straight away. And here is the final placeable area. So you have a shed given to you in this area. It's quite a nice big area with this kind of concretey, stony kind of ground texture. And we also have a couple of lights over there as well. So if you wanted to maybe put some seed tanks or something in that place, or maybe a silo, then you would actually have some built-in illumination. So there's just one last thing I want to try before we go, and that is just to see if those doors at the farm do close when it gets dark. So I'll see you back at the farm in just a second. I did say there were some nice little scenic things to go out there and explore and find. Here you can see we've actually got a guy doing a little bit of fishing just on the jetty, just behind our cows. So you wouldn't necessarily see this straight away because he is a bit lower down. But yeah, we have this this guy just having a nice little fishing break here. So while we wait for it to get dark enough for the lights to change and the doors to maybe do something, I don't know if they will. I kind of don't think they will, but you never know. Just to remind you that there is a dedicated geo already out for this map. So you can see here, this is the geo itself, All Mountains of Saxony, and I'll pop up the images of the actual planting cycle and so on and so forth as well. I highly recommend, if you are going to play on seasons, that you use this geo. It is designed to go hand in hand with this map, and it will give you probably the best experience of seasons on this particular map. But of course you don't have to use this one. You can use any map you want, any geo you want. There are a few out now that'll give you a variety of different climate types. But as I say, if you have a dedicated geo designed specifically for a map, it's usually a good idea to actually use the one that's built for that map. So when Lone Oak Geo comes out, I will be using, the Northwest Oregon Geo comes out, I will be using that on Lone Oak. Also, those of you that are playing on Oakfield, there is a Nuance Geo that's been going through testing. When that comes out, then you can use that for Oakfield, because that's designed for the Gloucestershire region of England where Oakfield is set. So it's usually a good idea, as I say, to use the right Geo for the right location. Right, 9 o'clock. There go the lights, as you can see. So all the lights have come on automatically, and absolutely nothing has happened to the doors. That kind of makes sense, because if you're late back to the farm, it's like you're on an automatic curfew. You can't get in and out of your buildings or do any work. That kind of makes sense that you can't do a thing. So the doors themselves are just always open. You can't open or close them. It's a little bit of a shame. I like to have interactive doors where you can actually roll them open and close, but I suppose it makes sense. Helps keep the performance of the map up a little bit. Now, as I said, previous maps from Redkeinstus, they've been crammed full of detail, and we have seen some frame rate performance issues as a result of that. So some stuttering to some quite bad juddering. On this map, I've only experienced a little bit of mild stuttering here and there. It's generally been very, very smooth all the way through. So it's not quite as big file size wise as we're used to seeing as well. Baltic Sea was around 5.5, 500 and something megabytes, and I think Woodshire was pushing 600 megabytes. Altenstein as well, tiny little map, was around 450 odd megabytes, maybe even a little bigger than that. So it's not quite as big, there's not quite as much detail crammed into this, and it flows a much smoother experience as well. I really like the look of this map. I'll probably have a little play about on this before I go back to South Mountain Creamery for live streaming and Lone Oak for my Let's Play series, but I do recommend you check it out. It is a very, very nicely done little map here, and as I say, don't forget to use the right Geo if you're going to do it on Seasons. So that's it from me. Thanks for watching. I am Jim Bob, and I'll be back with another map tour very soon.